and it needs a little improving, so hopefully this will prove to be a little better. First of all, the purpose of the dive table is it tells you how long you can, in minutes or whatever, a period of time you can be at a particular depth in the water safely. You can do this for one dive or multiple dives. Multiple meaning obviously more than one. You can do it numerous dives. It's just depending on how many times you want to run through the chart. And the way this chart's laid out, if you can see my cursor here, there's three parts to it. There's table 1 up here in the upper right, table 2 in the lower right, and then table 3 in the lower left. And it's kind of a flow chart. It looks kind of confusing, and at first it is, believe me. But I finally got it figured out, and I'm going to try to explain it to you. First place you start is up here in the upper right corner. And if you're just going to do one dive, this is the box you need to be in. What it does, it's arranged here in depths. This is 40, 50, 60, up to 130 feet. And you might want to go to the internet and print off one of these cards, because this video is recorded in QuickTime, and I looked at it and it's not as clear as a bell. So if you print off a card, you might be able to follow along. Might be advisable to do that. So anyway, you got your water depths here on the side in feet and meters, okay? And for just one single dive, let's say you wanted to dive at 60 feet. Okay, you go to 60 feet, and you got some numbers here. And if you run all the way over to the right, there's a number in a circle, and it says 55. Well, that means at 60 feet, you can be in the water for 55 minutes safely. 70 feet, it's 45 minutes. 80 feet, it's 35 minutes. Obviously, the deeper you go, the less time. That's just common sense. 40 feet all the way up to 130 minutes. Okay. Now, there's another set of boxes here that have two numbers, and you have to relate those two numbers to this little key here. The top one is dive time requiring decompression, and the bottom is the number of minutes required at a 15-foot stop. And the reason for this is, let's say for example at 40 feet, you can safely be in 130 minutes. This little box here has 150 over 5. So if you were at 150 feet, which you should have been at only 130 max, you kind of screwed up. Well, that means you have to do some decompression stops because you were too deep. So if you're at 150 feet, this 5 below here, I don't know if you can see it or not, that's how long you have to stay at a 15-foot stop. You have to stay at 5 minutes at the 15-foot point. At 50 feet, maximum time safe, 80 minutes. Let's say you stayed in 100. Well, there's a 5 here. That means you'd have to stay at your 15-foot stop for 5 minutes. Okay. So the next thing that I should explain, and it's vital to understanding this chart, is it's what's called a pressure group. And you look down here, you got pressure group A, B, C, D, E, all the way up to L. Okay, these pressure groups it has to do with the amount of nitrogen that you got stored up in your body. because as you scuba dive, you can't vent off nitrogen naturally like you're on land. Due to the weight of the water, that nitrogen stacks up in you. You can't get rid of it, dude. It's compressing you, okay? And if you look up here, let's go 40 feet, because we got if you were at 40 feet for 5 minutes, you would fall into group A. That means the A is the least amount of nitrogen, and it progressively gets, the more nitrogen, it progresses up in the alphabet. So at 40 feet, at 130 minutes, which is your maximum allowable dive time, you would be in pressure group K. Remember, the key to this chart is these pressure groups. If you don't understand these pressure groups, this whole thing is like Greek. What you need to remember, the lower the letter in the alphabet, the less nitrogen you have in you. And that you wonder why does that matter? Well, it'll become apparent here in a little bit. Basically, that pressure group determines what you can do for your next dive. So you need to follow along with your pressure group. Okay? Remember, least amount of nitrogen in your body to the most. So, we're going to do a dive that's take 50 feet for a half hour. Okay? We're going to go 50 feet for a half hour. We can go up to 80, but we're not going to. We're just going to go down for a half hour. Okay, now the thing we need to determine is what pressure group are we in? The reason for that, in a minute. Just hang on. I know that's a question right now, because it was for me. So 50 minutes for a half hour. You drop down. You're in pressure group E. This chart reads like this and then down. 50, half hour, pressure group E. Remember that. I am now in pressure group E, which really, right now, don't mean squat, but it will. Okay, you're in pressure group E. And I'm going to take a break for an hour. Now, this portion of the chart is basically break time. It's broken up. In this E column, it goes 10 minutes to 54 minutes, 55 to an hour and 57, hour and 58 to 3 hours 24, 3 hours 25 to 6 hours 34, 6 hours 35 to 24 hours. Every column here starts with 10 minutes because it's recommended that you have at least a 10-minute break. That's the reasoning that this has a 10-minute for the least amount of time. Although the recommended break time, I believe, is an hour. Okay? And it goes a minimum 10 minutes all the way up to 24. The top of this chart is 24 hours. That would be the maximum break time, would be 1 day. So we've entered this chart at pressure group E. We're going to take a 1 hour break. That falls in this box. 55 minutes to an hour and 57 minutes. I don't know if you can see it or not. If you print it off a chart, it would be a benefit. So now we've taken an hour break. We've entered as an E. Remember, the more nitrogen, the higher in the alphabet. Now we took a break. Now you're in pressure group D. The reason for that is because you have expelled some of the nitrogen in your body because you've been sitting on the surface for an hour. Now you got less nitrogen in you. Keep in mind, closer toward the beginning of the alphabet, the less nitrogen, all the way down to the more. Now we're at pressure group D, is in delta. Okay. Let's say we're now in pressure group D and we want to dive at 50 feet for 10 minutes. Okay, you come over here to this, you shoot across to your required depth that you want to go, 10 minutes, or 50 feet, sorry. 50 feet for 10 minutes. Now, you've got two numbers here. It says 29 and 51. You wonder, what's that mean? Well, the bottom number is the maximum allowable dive time at that particular depth for your given pressure group. We are D. We want to go to 50 feet. We can stay in for 51 minutes. Okay. If we wanted to go to 60 feet, we could stay in for 31 minutes. But we only want to go 50 feet for 10 minutes. Okay. 10 is less than the maximum of 51, so we're safe. And what you want to do is you take your, here's where it kind of gets a little confusing. You take your actual dive time, which is 10 minutes, and this top number, this is residual nitrogen. You always have some residual nitrogen in you because you haven't had a 24-hour break. So there's still some residual nitrogen stacked up in your body. That's what this top number is. You can look down here at the key and it says the light face numbers are the residual nitrogen and the bold are adjusted maximum dive time. Okay, 50 feet, 10 minutes. We got 10 minutes plus our residual is 39 minutes, okay? If we're at 50 feet, now you got to take that 39 minutes and 50 feet, and you come up back up here to the chart. 50 feet, 39. Okay, we got to round up to 40 because we got 30 and 40. Now, if we go down, we're now in pressure group F again. That's how you determine what pressure group you jump to after your break. You got your first dive, your break, and then you get your pressure group here after your first dive. Now for your next dive, you got to take your actual dive time, 10, plus your residual, what's left in your body, 29, which would be a total of 39. Now to determine your new group, you go up here to your 50 feet that you were at, come across to your 39, which is your actual dive time plus your residual, which you got to round up to 40, and then you shoot down here, and that'll tell you what pressure group you're in, F. Okay. I'm going to do this one more time. Let's say we're in pressure group F, and we only take a half-hour break. We're kind of in a rush, which we shouldn't be, and that's beside the point. But anyway, that falls in this bottom window. Okay, 10 minutes to 45. Take a half-hour break. We shoot across. We're still in pressure group F. That means you really haven't off-gassed enough to do any good. You should probably take at least an hour break to get rid of some of that gas. Basically you haven't gotten rid of anything. Or you have some, but not much. You're still in the same pressure group. Okay. We come across, let's say we want to dive at 100 feet. Okay. Go to column, or 100 feet. F, look at that. There's nothing in here. There's no dive time. That means that's not safe. You say, hey man, we can't do that. We can't go to 100 feet. There's no recommended time here. Can we go to 90? No. Can we go to 80? Yeah, but for only 7 minutes maximum. Maybe we should dive down to 40 feet. Okay, we could be down there for 69 minutes. Okay. Anyway, I hope that helps. This is a flow chart, and you just keep going around and around. The big thing is you got to find your pressure group and take into consideration your dive time plus your residual to obtain your new pressure group, and keep going around and around. I hope this helps. Thanks a lot for watching, and leave comments if you want, and I'll redo it if I have to. Thanks a lot. Bye.